What's going on, guys? This is Joe Young coming at you another video. Kind of getting down low for you guys today. Got a new shipment in of live fish. You guys can already kind of guess what that is. I kind of wanted to do a different video. Instead of seeing more unboxing videos, you can kind of see all the other ones. I wanted to show you guys how I acclimate my Discus into my new tanks. Alright guys, so there's a bunch of different methods in how to acclimate your fish to your tank. You can kind of, YouTube it, Google it. But this is the method I use, and let me kind of give you a background of that first before you actually use this method. So the first thing to note is the pH where I get my Discus from is very similar to my tank. So you kind of have to know where you're getting your fish from. The second thing is the supplier already quarantines the Discus probably for about a week and a half before he actually ships it out. So knowing that, I don't really have to do another quarantine. But it's always a risk if you don't do that. So this part is very important. If you don't want to do another quarantine, that's at your own risk. But people like to do another quarantine, but I think it's a little excessive just because it's already been through quarantine. So for me, this video and this method that I'm doing, I'm not going to quarantine because I already know my supplier had already done the quarantine for me. I do have a quarantine tank set up. It's not like, I don't have to do it or I don't want to do it. It's just, I think it's excessive. But I'm going to take some precaution and do a few different slight methods in terms of medication to help speed that up a little bit. So you'll see it in this video. Alright guys, so what do you actually need to actually, acclimate your fish into your tank? A lot of these are really general things, but I'm going to show you again my method and how I acclimate my Discus into my tank. So the first thing that I generally use for all fish is this Methylene Blue. It's very good. It's basically the blue water, that you see when fish are being packaged for online shipping. It helps with general diseases and stuff like that, fungus. I always use this if the fish doesn't come in that bag already. Generally, when I buy my Discus from Kenny's Discus, he already has this, so I can kind of skip this step. The second thing I like to use is some sort of fish prep, so it's more like a bath to remove any anything that they have. Again, this isn't the 100% fix. This is more of just an extra step of precaution, and it will remove 90 to 99%. But then again, a lot of the other stuff, it gets carried in the fish. You won't know until days into it. So again, there's still a risk, but this is how I do it. So I use fish prep from corn, and the last thing I like to use is just aquarium salt. It helps with the stress and levels of the fish. And this is more of a quick bath that I like to do with the fish before I actually put them into the tank. Alright, so now that you have the general ideas of the medications that I use, what do you actually need to set up this bath? A general bucket, 5 gallons is good enough. It could be bigger if you have more fish. Right now I believe I only have 4 to 5 fish, and they're smaller, so this is a quick bath for them before they go straight into the tank. So it's pretty easy. The next thing you need is, depending on how long your bath is, you may need a heater. I like to just keep the heater at the same temperature as my tank, and just some sort of air stone just to aerate the water and just to get oxygen in the water. So it's very simple setup. They're not going to stay in this bucket forever. It's more of just maybe a top of an hour's top, not very long. So I'm going to quickly unbox this box and inspect the fish, because it's very important to make sure the fish are coming in healthy, alive, and if they do have something on your visual inspection, it's best to actually quarantine that fish. But if you don't see anything, then you can go ahead and continue with this method. Alright, so I opened the box, I inspected the fish. Everyone looks healthy. They arrived good, in great condition, and this wasn't overnight. Definitely, that's the best way to do it, to reduce the stress in the fish. But people can do, priority 2 days. They'll be fine as well, as long as the packaging is really good. In this bucket, I have just about 10 to 5% of just the tank water in this bucket. I have the air stone running, and I have the heater going to match the water temperature here. So the next step is fairly easy, nothing too crazy. If you have all the same fish, same conditions, tanks, it's a lot easier. You can just dump everybody into one bucket. If there are different types of fish where they have different pH levels or just different conditions that they live in, you may need multiple buckets depending on what you get. So since this is all discus, they're going to be in the same environment, they're going to be all in the same bucket, and they're going to be all in the same treatment. Alright, so like I said, since the bag already came in this Meth Blue, there's no need for this, so I can skip this step. But if your fish does not come in this, you may want to put a couple drops in here and let them sit for about like 10 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to skip this step. I'm going to add a very small amount of salt, not very much, into the tank. And that's it. I'm going to let this sit for a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to adjust this heater because it's not even touching the water. So, here we go. I'm going to let this sit for about 15 to 30 minutes here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill a little bit more of the tank water into here to about half, and then add in the prep. And then this one has specific instructions here, soak in the bath for about 15 minutes. So again, it's going to be about an hour process. So I'm going to come back in 15 to 30 minutes or so, and I'm going to obviously pay attention to your fish when you're doing this. Make sure they're not stressed out. Make sure that you're not flopping around or whatever from the shipment, and everything should go great here. So I'll be back in a little bit here. Alright guys, I'm down to the last step. I just put in some more water into here, so another 10%, 5% of the tank water into here. That was after 30 minutes of just with the salt bath. The fish are still looking great in here. So the last step is just putting this fish prep in here. So let's go ahead and read the directions real quick. And alright guys, that was the last step. Pretty much wait 15 minutes and you can add your fish directly into your tank. Again, this is my method and how I acclimate my discus into my tank. Again, taking a risk because you may never know. These guys have been already quarantined for about a week and a half already, so I'm willing to take that risk. I've had no issues in the past with my other fish from Kinney's Discus, so I know I can do this because I know my supplier. One tip for you guys, if you guys are keeping planted tanks with new fish especially, turn off your CO2 for like the first day. Just because your fish is already stressed out from the shipment, the CO2 levels of switching can only add to that stress level. I've seen in the past, and it's happened to me with my other fish. Fish can die from just rapid CO2 change, and they're not ready for that. So it's just a good rule of thumb: keep it off for like a day or two. And then go ahead and turn it back on once they're kind of healthy and swimming around and really acclimated to your new environment. So anyways, that's the conclusion for this video on how to acclimate your discus into your new tank. I hope you guys learned something, and until next time, peace guys.